right click कर रही हूँ.
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. A very warm welcome, Dr. Aradhana. I would like to just take the opportunity to introduce Dr. Aradhana, and she'll be taking our today's lecture on stress management. Ma'am, are you connected?
उसके रूम में भी करता है.
वो एक्सटेंडर नहीं लगा रखा उसके कमरे में.
Yes, ma'am, I think we can start now. So I would like to welcome Dr. Aradhana for this session today, and she'll be taking a session on stress management. So Dr. Aradhana Sharma, she's a doctorate in psychology from Delhi University, and she has worked with many eminent institutions, including Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Bal Bharati Society. She's trained at the Child Guidance Clinics at Kalavati Saran Children Hospital, RML Hospital, Safdarjung Hospital, and CGC Department of Social Work, Delhi University. She has been working in the area of child guidance, behavior modification, parenting, and teacher training for more than 20 years. She's trained NLP practitioner and a clinical hypnotherapist as well. and she's a freelance life skills trainer. She's currently involved in a lot of social initiatives, which include coordinating the Rahagiri at Rohini and working with environmental issues. With the belief that most of the day-to-day stress stems from our deteriorating environment. If we can generate awareness regarding environment, life would be more peaceful and stress-free. As said by ma'am, she believes that awareness towards reduction of waste and effective management is the key to reducing pollution, and it results in climate change. Perfect. So, with these words and so much of introduction about ma'am, I would like ma'am to just start with the session. And ma'am, I welcome you once again to this Atal FDP. And I would like you to please address the participants and we start with the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the lovely words. And good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be connected. Although the buzz is around that due to the pandemic, there is a lot of stress. So today we are going to talk about stress management. So, when we are talking about managing something, we need to know what it is in the first place. So, stress, the word itself, um, this comes from a Latin word which means to draw tight. So, and I think we can all affiliate to this word or to this meaning of the word stress. To there's a feeling of tightness and being tied up to something and sense of helplessness which we experience when we are stressed. So today I've been asked to talk about how do we manage stress. So since yesterday we were talking about psychological safety, and today in the morning we had a lovely session by Mr. Bansal. He talked about goal setting, and then Dr. Vyas was uh, talking about a major strategy for stress management that was, and she made you experience that breathing exercise through breathing exercises. So having said that, so much of background has already been laid for me to now talk about stress management. So I'll take it at a different level today. Um, Although what has already been said is a part of stress management. So we need to first understand what do we define as stress. So stress is basically anything that we feel binding in terms of psychological or physiological changes or the compulsions that we feel that we cannot handle. So these are the words to mark anything that we think is beyond our capacity to handle. So as you can see on your screens, it is the when we perceive that there is a lack of equilibrium between the demands placed upon us and our ability to meet those demands. So stress is not so much the situation, stress is more of how we interpret this whole situation, how we look at things. So a lot of what we experience as stress is our interpretation of the situation. So, for example, you see a lot of kids playing in the park, although this is a rare sight now. The pandemic has changed so many things. So, but usually we see children playing and two children collide and they fall down. So the reaction, both of them are hurt, but every child reacts in a different manner. So one child may just, I mean, let go and wipe off his clothes and hands and then start to play again. And the other one may howl How to the extent that everyone rushes to help that child. So it is not the situation which was stressful, it is the reaction to that situation which caused stress to the person involved. So, likewise, even at our workplace, you would find there are certain people who are loaded with work and they are still, as you say, chilled out, and others with even small quantum of work may feel very pressured. So, stress is basically a perception. So, how do we know that we are stressed? So, all of us have gone through some of these symptoms of stress. Uh, One of them being you may lose appetite or you may gain appetite. You may, people are known to eat a lot while they are depressed, or they may not eat and they may lose weight. Then people may have difficulties in sleeping. Then in children and at workplace, most of the stress comes in the form of physical symptoms. That is in terms of say stomach ache or headache or giddiness, then palpitations, then shallow breathing, sweaty hands or feet. These are, or nausea. These are some of the common symptoms of stress. And one of the basic cognitive symptom of stress is compulsive thoughts or obsessive thoughts. Now, I'll talk about compulsive and obsessive thoughts later. So let's first talk about what are the not in the frame. So, um, what are the stressors? What are the things that pressurize people? So, most of the stressors that are known to most of us, and as per the list of the stressors given by WHO, the most stressful situation is a loss of a loved one, then divorce, loss of job, any kind of financial insecurity, and any kind of change. Change is a big stressor in itself. So, moving to a new place, moving into a new job, or moving into a new city, getting married, these are all changes. And so is the pandemic. Pandemic is a new situation, so it is causing a lot of stress to many people. But what I see is it is how you handle it, and many of the people are able to handle that stress. So for those who are not able to handle that stress, uh, we'll talk about how to handle it. And this being a faculty development program, a lot of your students, I mean, your the faculty or the attendees, you have subordinates, you have students, or you are dealing with other people in your professional life. So the techniques that I'm going to talk about today will be of help to you when you are helping other people also, along with helping yourself. So, when you have a sick person in the family, that again is a stressor. Or, as is the pandemic, so is any other traumatic event or natural disaster, any earthquake, flood, any kind of thing, or a theft, rape, violence, terrorist attack. These are all stressors which can increase the level of stress or disturbance in people. So, having said that, we all experience stress in our own unique ways. There is no one way in which everyone is experiencing stress. So, we will talk about how to handle it. So, even at workplace. Now, if I were to talk about workplace stresses, okay, let's talk about stress versus burnout. So, what is the difference between stress and burnout? It's like you stretch a rubber band, right? You stretch it and you leave it. It comes back to its original position. But if you keep it stretched for long, then it does not come back to its original position. It loses its shape. So basically, burnout is that losing of shape. When you are not automatically able to come back to your normal, relaxed self, that is burnout. So while stress is a response, burnout is an accumulation of the excessive stress over time. And when there is burnout, there is that's when various problems begin to occur. So excessive stress is placed on individuals no matter what their occupations, and it's like the idiom when we say burning the candle on both ends. So burnout is that state. So let me talk about some science behind stress. So basically, the human body is very intelligent. I mean, we have this autonomic nervous system, which has the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic nervous system prepares the body for any kind of stressful situation. So we've all experienced this, that when we are out to take an exam, or there is any other stressful situation, you're about to speak in public, or you're about to go for an interview, any of the stressful situation that you are about to face, there are certain bodily symptoms that accompany them. You're bound to have pounding heart, your breath is shallow, you are breathing heavily, you may have sweaty hands or forehead, and you are feeling jittery, there are butterflies in the stomach. These are all reactions, or these are all your body's response to stress, and this is called the fight or flight response of your body. So basically, there is this adrenal rush and the hormonal rush, which is preparing your body to either fight the situation or run away from that situation. So, but as the stressful situation wards off or wanes off, our body normalizes or comes back to its normal position. That is the function of the parasympathetic nervous system. So the nature has made our body capable of handling stress. Now what we are dealing with more today is burnout. So there are certain facts about stress. Would you like me to read them? I mean, but excessive stress can cause infertility. Stresses, it can kill brain cells. It can, in children, dwarf development. It can have problems like erectile dysfunction in men. It can lead to uh, it's been found that chronic stress can lead to ailments like cancer, lung ailments, colic ulcers, heart disease, liver cirrhosis, accidents, suicides. All of these things are linked to stress. So basically, stress needs to be handled well so that we are saved from um, physical disorders also. Excessive stress can lead to acne. See, so there are a lot of things which excessive stress can cause. So because we are the body is being prepared for action, So जब action होगा तो they can be bleeding, so the body thickens the blood. Now since the blood is become stickier, and if a person is chronically stressed, that person stands very high chances of formation of blood clots, which may lead to heart ailments or brain hemorrhage. So stress is detrimental to your physical health also. But let me now go back to when we are taught stress in psychology. We are taught of stress as eustress and distress. So all that I have just talked about is about distress. There's something called eustress. Now eustress is the essential stress, because without that stress we will not be able to function. So we are all attending this FDP because this is going to give us some brownie points, right? If we were to get our paychecks without any work, or even if we don't keep to our deadlines, we may just take it easy. So students, if we don't have exams, or we don't have any deadlines for our assignment submission, we'll just chill out. So that little stress which is important for us to get going is called eustress. So eustress is good, but when we convert it into distress, then that's bad. So how do we convert our distress into eustress? That is how I would put it. So to understand what is stressing us, we need to first analyze what are we stressed about. What is it that is worrying me? Then we need to understand the origins of. Can we have the next slide, please? We have to understand the origins of uh, what is causing stress. So here we have something on workplace stress. So workplace stress can be due to particular uh, one reason for workplace stress can be that we are in the wrong place. Now, being in the wrong place, we are going to have a good session by Dr. Yadav, I think, on Ikigai, and he's going to talk a lot about this. So, uh, so being in the wrong place, when I say we are all meant to do something in life, right? And we chose a particular career. And at times, our career choices are not in line with our innermost calling. Because we are intelligent, we are able to score, so there are certain pathways that have been created for us by society, our parents, our school, and blah blah. And since we are doing well in that, we assume that we are meant for that. But by many of the professionals I find themselves in the wrong place. They do not enjoy doing what they're doing. So if that's the case, then we'll talk about it, what to do. Then there are certain difficulties with the workload, the nature of the workload, or the quantum of the workload. Then a lot of our workplace stress generate from relationship issues. Relationship issues meaning your relationship with your subordinate, your relation with your boss, relationship with your colleagues, relationship with your environment. So these are some issues. Then the ambience or the workplace in itself may cause certain stresses. Then your own expectations from yourself. We expect ourselves to be doing something and we end up doing something else. That in itself, maybe our expectations are unrealistic at times. So these are certain factors which cause stress in the workplace. Then organizational climate, obviously the policies or the management or the leadership of the place, they constitute the climate of the organization. And if there is some difficulty there, that can be stressful for the people working there. Then a lot of stress is about work life balance. And as I was introduced, I am a parenting expert. So a lot of stress comes from parenting issues. So I'll take up these issues, and if you can give me certain pointers as to which are the ones that you would like me to focus on or talk more about, that will be easier for me, because 1.5 hours is too less a time to talk about a subject like stress management. So I would like you all to benefit the maximum from this session. So please give your inputs as to what are you looking for in this session, so that we can focus on those issues more. So can I have the next slide, please? So, what when we are about to manage our stress, we need to understand our stresses. Then it is very important to recognize your stress signals. We begin to have, whenever we are feeling stress, we are also having corresponding physiological symptoms. And a lot of stress management can be done by managing those physiological symptoms. So I'll talk about that. So then we, like I said, nature has made the human body like this, that we are capable of fighting our stresses. So it is just that we do not know what assets we have that we can combat or overcome our stress. So assessing our strengths to overcome stress is another issue that is the starting point. Then taking care of oneself is very important. Now when we say self care, now self care is about our body, mind, and emotions, right? So when taking care of your body, like Savita ji was saying, that what are the sources of your energy? So how to balance work and responsibilities like parenting, wonderful. So first let's talk about self-care, and this again is a important thing to note while parenting also. Most of our stress is because our bodies are stressed. And especially, I don't know about no, I do know about university professors also, but uh, a lot of stress that teachers have per se, I have seen, is when they have back to back classes. I've seen teachers going without um, food for a very long time, or without water for a very long time. See, there's a small understanding, if you can take it, because um, all of us have studied biology till class 8. So we know that the cell, the single unit cell, is an independent entity. It is capable of every function that our body is capable of. It has generative powers, it has digestion facility, it has every organ that we have in our body that is present in a cell. So, and like our body, which is made up of water, 70% of our body is made up of water. Likewise, the cell, 70% of the cell is made up of water. So, a cell is basically a prototype of our body. So, if a cell is stressed, it is dehydrated. So, millions and trillions of cells in your body, unfortunately, they don't have a language of their own like we have. But their language is in terms of irritability and stress. So, when we say self care, it is about taking care of your dietary needs. So, there has to be the basic care of your body has to be very important. So, you need to take care of your diet, not only eating at the right time, but what you are consuming. That is very important. Then, uh, water intake. A lot of us find it easy to grab a cold drink or aerated drink or a cup of tea, then a glass of water. Although grabbing a glass of water is easier, but then I do understand then there are issues with having a lot of water also, because as I said, I have worked very closely with school teachers. So having back to back classes, they don't have any time to rush to the washroom. So that can be very stressful. And when you are physically stressed, your stress, your anger, your irritability is bound to reflect in your actions. So you need to make self care a priority. Then these days, and even before the pandemic, this issue was coming up very blatantly. Overuse of screens, increase in screen times. This has led to poor sleep patterns. So when you are not sleeping appropriately and enough, then your body is bound to be stressed. And like I said, it will show in different ways. We're coming up with so many difficulties in young people these days. We have so many patients in the clinics. People are having difficulties getting to sleep. People are having difficulties in terms of disorientation, and, irritability, intolerance. All of this because of increased screen times. So your uh, when you are taking care of yourself, or when you are guiding your students, they have to be guided to switch off all electronic gadgets at least 2 hours before bedtime. Because unless, see, technology is good. Today we are all able to connect to each other because of technology. Despite the pandemic, we are in it and we are together in it. We are able to learn so much. I have known of doctors who claim that they couldn't have attended so many CMEs, and that too intercity would have been impossible. But due to technology, we are able to connect to people in different cities, in different nations. So learning has become easier. But then screen time has to be monitored, because more screen time can lead to stress. So making self-care a priority is something that each one of us should look into. Then if despite all that we are talking about today, you are not able to manage your stress, please seek help. Because unfortunately, despite everything, even today, seeking psychological help is a taboo, even among educated people. They feel, why? I'm not mad. Why should I seek help? We are, believe me, we as psychologists are no experts. We are only there to assist you, and in 99.9% cases, only there to show you your own resources, which you are some way overlooking or you're not aware of. Each one of us has so much potential. Each one of us is capable of taking care of ourselves. It's just that we are all Hanumans in that way. You know the story of Hanuman? When, as a child, he had gulped the sun, then he was cursed to forget all his uh, powers. So, like Hanuman, we all have powers, but only we need someone to be able to show us what our powers are. So, don't hesitate to seek help if required. So, how do you manage stress? There are three strategies. One, or most important, all of them are important actually. One is action oriented. Get into action. Act in terms of, like I said, there are certain things we are not doing, or stress, most of the stress is perceived, and most of our stresses are basically our fears. What are fears? Fears are our thoughts. We keep fearing certain things. So when I say action oriented, that means we have to get into action. So first thing that you need to learn is to be assertive. Most of the workplace stress or stress in relationships are due to our hesitance or our fear of losing the job in the workplace or our loved one in personal relationships. So being assertive is very important. Any relationship which is intimidating is harmful for us. So, and one thing more, I do agree there are people who have personalities which are intimidating. But then, if we are intimidated, it is because of our own fears. So, there are basically three ways in which we respond to others. One is the passive way, and the other is the aggressive way. A passive way is we take everything that the other person says. Yes, mention. Aggressive, when we rebel and get verbally or physically violent. That is an aggressive way of addressing a situation. But the most effective way of communicating or addressing a situation is an assertive way. Assertion in the sense that you are able to put forth what you wish to say, not considering how the other person will take it. Because, like the speakers before me have already said this, लोग क्या कहेंगे, वो क्या सोचेगा, वो मेरे बारे में क्या इमेज बनाएंगे, ठीक है. पर वो जो image जो भी बनाएंगे, whatever the image that they create for me, the point is I am suffering. So I am responsible for myself. No one else is. So being assertive requires a little bit of practice for people who are non-assertive. Because most of the people who come up with issues of anxiety and depression have this issue of being non-assertive. So, can I have the next slide, please? So, assertiveness is very important for our ability to manage our stress. Then, reduce the noise. Like Mr. Bansal was saying in the morning, that we have some 10,000 thoughts every day, and 90% of the thoughts are negative. Likewise, if you would observe yourself henceforth, even when you are sitting silent, you are talking to yourself. So, monitoring your self talk, how you talk to yourself, what are the themes of how you are talking to yourself? Are they encouraging or discouraging? So, that is reducing the noise. So, there's a constant clatter going on in our head, which keeps telling us that we are not capable of it, we didn't do it well, people are thinking blah blah about you, you made a fool of yourself, blah blah, yeah. Okay? So you have to reduce that noise. Now, how do you do it? I had a question, how to get a peaceful mind. Now, having a peaceful mind begins with number one, centering yourself. Now, what do you call centering? Centering is number one, sit straight. When your spine is straight, you are able to think properly. Or so to say, think straight. So, in order to get a peaceful mind, first and foremost, check your posture. Sit straight with your spine straight. Then, when you are stressed, if you notice, you will have clenched teeth and a stressed jaw. The maximum stress that we have is in our lower jaw, neck, and our shoulders. So the moment you lower your jaw, keep it relaxed, untighten your neck and shoulders, leave them loose, half your stress is gone. You can experience it right now. The moment you straighten your back, your spine, and loosen your lower jaw, you'll feel relaxed. Now, when it comes to having a peaceful mind, how to stop your thoughts? See, thoughts are like waves, they are floating in the air, and your brain is like an antenna. It will keep catching the thoughts, but it's up to us which one we attend to. So, can you take your attention right now to the right toe of your feet? To your right toe, to your right toe thumb. in your feet, right feet. So were you aware of the temperature or the softness of your um, or softness or hardness under your feet? So when we draw our attention to certain things, awareness to certain things, then we are able to distract our mind from the disturbing thoughts. So in order to have a peaceful mind or from disturbing thoughts, uh, what we need to do is we have to have certain goals. I'll go back to the morning session. Why do we have so many negative thoughts in our mind even after we've finished a task? It's because we are still dwelling in the past. We are not moving on. So after every task, you have to have another task for yourself. A task doesn't have to be a professional assignment. A task can be, after I finish this assignment, I'm going out for a walk. But when you're going out for a walk, that is the time when you are bound to have those negative thoughts. So that's the time when you need some good music or some good thoughts by other people. So you have certain audiobooks you've recorded, or you have some lectures by eminent or non-eminent, that's your choice, or by people who are more motivating and inspirational. So listen to inspirational and motivational things when you are walking, or be in your own world. As I tell my clients, think like a Sheikh Chilli. So Sheikh Chilli is basically a person who thinks wild, daydreamer kind of a person. So प्रॉब्लम क्या हो गई है, we've all ceased to be children. We do not fantasize anymore. We are too logical. So if we were to give ourselves this liberty to imagine things out of the blue, what if I can have more cars than Ambani? Imagine that. Imagine करने के थोड़ा ना पैसे लग रहे हैं, उसके लिए थोड़ा ना you have to be the richest person. So it is about leaving your horses loose. Some of you में से क्या मैम फालतू की बात कर रही हैं? फालतू की बात नहीं है. राइट ब्रदर्स ने ऐसा ही कुछ सोचा था, तभी आज हम इतनी इतनी चीजों की बात कर रहे हैं. So it is unless we think wild, and especially we have to think in terms of innovation. Innovation क्या होती है? Innovation is something which doesn't exist, but we think we can make it come true. Unless you leave your horses loose, you cannot innovate. So keeping your leaving your horses loose is very important. That is how you uh, silent your chattering mind. Then a lot of stress is about time. We don't have time. Believe me, we all have equal time. Right from the president of US to the prime minister of India to the dog on the street. Everyone has only 24 hours in a day. So it's up to us. The only difference between a successful and a not so successful person is how they manage their time or what they do with their time. A lot of time, what I've seen is that since we have everything on our mobiles or on laptops these days, and this happens with me also, that I pick up the phone to call up someone, and then I come across this message from someone, and I start to read that, and then I get into something else, and then something else, and I don't realize where my time has gone, and I forget to make the call that I had picked up the phone for. And this happens a lot of time with young people. Someone was asking about that. So, and not only young people, even with older people, we tend to get astray. So, there are certain telephone etiquettes. Uh, these days, we have these cordless things. Um, Earlier, when I read Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of Most Effective People, so he talked of telephone etiquettes, and he said that you have to stand in a place and make a call. You can't sit. If you because you the moment you sit, you become comfortable, and you talk about उसने देखा क्या किया था, उसने क्या किया था, उसने ये वो, and we divert from the issue that we had called for. So, but we can still use this even with the cordless thing. Make a call standing, make a call standing in a place where there is no fan in this humid weather, or when it is cold, stand in the chill outside and make a call. Believe me, you'll finish your call in 2 minutes, because you would want to rush to a more comfortable zone. Never ever make a call while sitting in your bed, because you will not realize when you just lie down and you are cozy in your bed, and you would have been chatting for hours together. So there are certain other techniques whereby you can manage your time. You have to actually look into your time leaks. Where your time, where is it that you are wasting your time? So ऐसा नहीं है कि we don't have time. It's just that we are not using it in the right place. So we all have heard of and maybe met or seen the legendary APJ Abdul Kalam. Could Are we more tech savvy than he was? I mean, do we know anything about technology if we were to compare ourselves to him? But when he died, what kind of a handset did he have? And remember, he was living in the times of smartphones, but he carried a very, very basic phone. Why? Because he didn't feel the need to remain connected to people all the time, because he was so very focused. So we have to prioritize what is important to us. Most of the times we get caught in what people want us to do. We have to have a list of things what we want to do and what we need to do. There are certain obligations, social, professional, and family obligations which we need to finish. But we definitely have time for our own priorities. So, in that regard, we have to create boundaries for ourselves and for others. So, if for example, Khushwant Singh, we have all heard of him, a magnificent writer, right? So, what is known of him is that he used to have those 2-3 hours of writing when no one was allowed to bother him. And at one point, uh, I don't know whether it's true or what, someone says that even Indira Gandhi called and he didn't take the call because that was his writing time. So, when we create boundaries for ourselves and we are good at our work, people will respect us. People will know that this is the time when that person will not be approachable. So we will reach out to him or her after this time. So, unless we value ourselves, others are not going to value us. If we make ourselves available all the time, then anyone will walk in anytime. So, it is very important to value yourself, to remain stress free. Otherwise, you will never be able to finish your things and you'll always be stressed because you are running behind time. So, whenever you feel stressed, distract yourself or take a break. When you feel that enough is enough, get up, have a glass of water, take a short nap if possible. Nahi to go take a light snack or something, listen to a good song, some good music, and then get back to your work. Then enhance your skills. A lot of our learning stops after we get into employment. Whatever learning is there that is regarding the professional requirement. So life, like I said, most of the problems are life, work life balance. Life is more than your career. They are two different things going side by side. You may progress, most of the people progress in their professions or careers, but lag behind in life. So please don't do this to yourself. This can cause stress. I've seen a lot of people post 50, 55, 60, they'll say, हमने सबके लिए इतना किया, किसी ने हमने पूछा भी नहीं. आपने किसी के लिए किया. If you did something for someone, you did it because you wanted to do it. So change your perspective. So a lot of stresses can be taken care of if we remain constant or lifelong learners. So keep updating your skills, indulge in certain hobbies, meet people, socialize, laugh a lot. All this, doing all this will keep you stress free. Now, talking about certain cognitive changes that we need to do. Now, what is cognition? Cognition is our perception, how we look at things. So, like I said in the beginning, stress is more of a perception, how we look at the situation. The situation is only an issue which is looked at by different people in different ways. So it is how we look at the situation and how we interpret the situation that will impact how we handle it. So, can we have the next slide, please? So, most of the problems do not actually exist. They're only in our minds. So most of the fears. What if I fail? What if the presentation doesn't come out well? Not that I didn't have this fear. But then I knew even if my PPT is not good enough, I can speak about any pointer. So stress basically, situation is only a situation. It becomes a stress by the way we interpret it. So situation is actually a problem. So if we call it a problem, problem, then it will hurt. But a problem with a solution, then it will not hurt. So if we look for solutions, then our perspective is progressive. So it is we ourselves who are interpreting, we are basically making a mountain out of a molehill. प्रॉब्लम तो है, सिचुएशन तो है, पर इस सिचुएशन को बेस्ट कैसे यूज किया जाए, हाउ टू मेक द बेस्ट ऑफ इट, दैट इज अप टू अस. So someone earlier asked about some parenting issues, how to balance profession with parenting. Well, early parenting, when the child is, say, an infant, obviously the infant needs care, attention and time. But definitely lot of our stresses can be reduced by delegation. In our culture and in many other world cultures, parenthood and especially motherhood has been given a, I don't know, it is the epitome or whatever. I mean, it is a big burden on a woman. And I'm assuming because most of the teaching faculties in the schools and the universities are women. I'm assuming the most of our audience is female. So my apologies to the male members on the forum. But motherhood has been given. Where is something happens? Okay, there are. So motherhood has been given so much importance. So there is a lot of guilt associated with not being able to attend to your child. So that's, I am assuming that the question that was there was about balancing your work and upbringing of your child. So for most part of it, the load or a pressure can be reduced by taking help. Delegation is very important in the professional field as well as at the home front. Because see, not everyone can be doing everything. One person cannot be doing everything. You have a certain amount of hours and you have a certain amount of energy. And you cannot be doing everything on your own. So it is very important to share your workload. So engaging with your family members regarding child care is very important. And at times when the family is not forthcoming, then maybe external help, it's all right. It is not the number of hours you are giving to your child. It is the quality of attention that you are giving to your child. It is what is it that you want to teach your child, or what is the kind of time that you wish to spend with your child. Because the child only needs love. What happens is you are too exhausted with your work in the professional arena, you have no energy left, and when there is a demand from the family or a child on your time or some on your physical presence, in terms of a child comes and says mere sath ye khelo, and you are too tired, and you may just snub the child and send the child away. So when you are going back home, you have to be prepared, mentally prepared, कि this situation is going to come. So you have to have a solution ready for that. And please let that solution not be in terms of any monetary or material substitute for yourself. It can be, okay, I'll play with you, or okay, let me just lie down comfortably, and then maybe, can I play while I'm lying down? And the child will be okay with that. Or you need to be attending to something in the kitchen or something, then can you help me with this, then we can play, and the child will submit. It's only that we are not expressing our need, and we are feeling pressured to oblige to everyone. So that is the reason that we feel stressed. I hope I have been able to answer the question. So, practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude is um, when we are thankful, or first and foremost, we are aware of what we've been given. When we are aware of what we are given and we are thankful to that, our attitude changes, our perspective changes. So at least I have this. If I don't have that, at least I have this. So thanking the universe, thanking nature for what you have, practicing gratitude relieves a lot of stress. And then, as the saying goes, giving is more pleasurable than receiving. So commit yourself to some community service. A lot of people are now looking for, a lot of students come to our NGO to ask for certificates of having been a part of a project or some community service. Why? Because in foreign universities, that gains them some points. But why do that only to gain some points, or um, for admission into a good university? Why not make it a part of your life? And believe me, once you begin to indulge in certain social projects, you have found your stress buster. It works as a stress buster. When you look around you and you find there are so many people who need your help, you can give so much, or there are so many people who are more aggrieved than you. मेरी तकलीफ क्या तकलीफ है? So when you look at it that way, you feel less stressed. And when we begin to look at whatever we have in terms of some toxic relations, so one thing is, how much are you willing to accept? Do you wish to be in a toxic relation? Because a lot of stress that people have is due to being in association with toxic people. Now, when I say toxic people, these are people who are too demanding, who are intimidating, aggressive, and who are disrespectful. So these are people who are toxic. So we always have a choice. Do we want to be into toxic relationships? Now, leaving certain relationships may not be possible, right? But then, as Dr. Seema was saying yesterday, even your bosses have bosses. Even those toxic people around you at home have certain elders. So, and if no one is forthcoming, see, you have to fight your own battles. If no one is forthcoming, you have to be your own warrior. You need not get, you need not explain your position, but live your life the way you wish to. It is about prioritizing what is important to you, what you wish to do. There may be a set of duties that you are supposed to fulfill. Finish them off, and then that is it. You owe it to yourself. See, your happiness is paramount, and how to be happy only you can decide. If you think other people will take care of your happiness, you are highly mistaken. People are never bothered about making you happy. And that remains for every one of us. We are concerned only about ourselves. So lower your expectations from others. Only you can expect only from yourself. And the only person you can change is yourself. If you think some fine day someone will change, that person will change only because that person wants to change. It is not because you want that person to change. So if you are waiting to live your life till the life situations become such, or that person changes, then life will go by. That reminds me of that story where a person was too stressed in his life, and he went to a saint, and the saint said, go to this astabal. He sent him to a camel stable. He said, come to me after all the camels have gone off to sleep. So he went, he with the help of a stick, he made some of them sit. But when he went to the other part of the stable, someone popped up. So there was no time when all the camels were sitting. So that is what life is all about. Something or the other will keep coming up every time. So if we wait for everything to be okay, for us to be happy, then we'll be waiting all life. So stop bothering about what other people are doing, what other people are thinking. Focus on your goals. I am reiterating what Mr. Vikas said in the morning. Focus on your goals. And unless you have your goals, you are bound to be swayed here and there and to be distracted and then to be stressed. So, while taking care of your relationships, be polite with everyone, be assertive, don't expect anything from anyone, and if anything that you get is a bonus. So if someone is obliging you, it's a bonus. And if you are doing something for someone, that is because you want to do it, not because the other person is asking you to do it. So do it with a sense of responsibility. You're doing it because you want to do it. So can we have the next slide, please? So when we get into relationships, our problems are one that I've already talked about, expectations, and second is about assumptions. We assume a lot about people in terms of the region, the religion, the caste, the um, gender, the institution that a person is coming from. We assume so much about others. And those assumptions, when they are proven wrong, that hurts us. So, if we don't want to get into any difficulty or any stress, stop assuming. Take people at face value. Uh, Assessing people doesn't really help. So it's best to um, mm, kind of create your relations around how people are behaving with you. And last not the least, forgive and forget. A lot of our problems or our stresses are of resentment, of anger, of guilt, and these are the thoughts that bother us. We are we have revengeful thoughts. I should only yesterday I had a young person, and he said that that girl did this to me. I want to go and tell her parents. And how would that help? At least she will not be able to cheat someone else. And at least I would have taken my revenge. So, how is it going to help him? That person, whatever wanted he or she wanted to do, has done it and forgotten you. And you are carrying that person in your head. So, who's carrying the baggage? So, if you are carrying any such baggage, let go. Tell me, how many of you have books on your rack which you read in class 8? None of us, I'm sure. We don't have our books of class 12 either, unless someone has just been out of school for 5-6 years. But even for having left school 5-6 years, yes, you don't have any books. Some people do have books because they find certain explanations in certain books which will last. I mean, Archimedes' principle is going to remain that way. So you have that book that explains that principle or Newton's laws so well, and you may need them even 10 years from now. That is one thing. But do we keep our, okay, let's go to our wardrobes. How many of you have clothes older than 10 years in your wardrobes? Most of us don't. So when we don't have, we don't keep these things. Why do you keep bad memories? Okay, tell me something. We these days, though, we are all carrying cameras in our phones, so we have n number of photographs on our phones itself. But there were times when there used to be a 36 snap roll. So where did we spend that? We spend that for the most precious moments. So what do we have albums of? We have albums of our cherished moments. So those are the memories that we cherish, that we need to keep in our mind. And what do? We do just the opposite. In our thoughts, we keep all the negative memories alive. So unless we begin practicing this comes with practice. It is easy for me to say, but I can assure you, if you begin to practice it today, you will be able to be a more positive person, and you will be able to live a stress-free life all through. So begin doing that. So a lot has been talked about in terms of these techniques, in terms of relaxation and meditation. Savita ji has talked about that. But still, I would like to emphasize that taking some time for yourself every day, when you can just be thoughtless, without any thoughts. And again, this will come with practice. When you sit silent, you're bound to have thoughts. But at times it is good also, because when you sit silent, there are certain things that you missed out in your routine, and you may be reminded of that because you are now relaxed. So remaining silent and focusing on yourself is very important. So meditation, as you say, how much time do we need to give every day to ourselves to become a person of substance? Well, yeah, the whole day is yours. It is for you to decide how much time you can give to yourself. But yes, if you can give yourself at least 1 to 1.5 hours, at least. Exercise is a must, because that is a de-stressor. So 1 hour of exercise and half an hour of contemplation, that is very important for each one of us. That may help us to um, set our goals for the day. It may help us plan our day in a more judicious manner. It may help us to prioritize, and it may also help us to declutter. Because there are so many things that we think we should be doing, which are actually not essential. And there could be shorter versions of doing those things. So the house is now open for questions.
Yes, Dr. Aradhana, thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful session. And there are a lot of questions over here from our participants. I would like to read them one by one for you so
Yeah,
that
sure.
the participants know their answers. So the first question is from Ms. Kavita, and she's asking, sometimes a few people from whom we cannot get rid of keeps on talking negative things and overpower our thoughts. So how can we get rid of these things?
Okay, wonderful. Um, people are bound to talk. जैसे मिस्टर बंसल ने कहा था, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, right? So, see, there are three kinds of people. One is the kind of people who talk about other people. Other are the type of people who talk about events. And the third and the most progressive kind of people talk about ideas. So it is up to you what type of people you want to keep company with and what type of person you want to become. I know of a lot of people who, whenever they come, they will be talking ill about someone or something, right? And I do agree, there are people, these are people that you cannot avoid all the time, right? So the best would be, let them think you are listening, but you don't listen. Or if, even if you're listening, do not repeat those words in your head, because most of what, see, how did you learn? रिपीट कर करके ही सीखा था ना, पढ़ाई तो ऐसे ही की थी ना. तो जब हम कोई चीज रिपीट नहीं करेंगे तो वो बहुत देर तक हमारी मेमोरी में नहीं रहेगी. So don't repeat those words to yourself again and again.
Thank you, Kavita. It answers your question. So the next question is from Sheikh Nazima. She's asking that she has a problem where if something happens at home or workplace or some serious discussion, she's not able to sleep whole night. How can she overcome this?
Okay, wonderful. I'm so glad you asked this question. This happens to most of us, that something happens and we are not able to sleep. So, number one, take a few deep breaths. Whatever happened, analyze it as a problem to be sorted out. Okay, so this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, and then give yourself a time frame, a timeline to finish that. Having planned that, it's like leaving the dirty shoes outside the house. Put it in a potli and put it outside the house. Okay, I'll attend to you in the morning. And let loose and practice those breathing exercises that Dr. Savita was talking about. And I'm sure you should be able to sleep.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question is from Rajni Sharma. She's asking, sometimes even when we are free, no schedules and relaxed, even then our mind feels heavy and full. What is this called as? Please explain.
Well, even when you have nothing and your mind feels full and heavy, this is called stress. And the reason for this stress only you can know, because what is the self talk that you are indulging in, that is very important. Probably if you are feeling heavy in your head, then that is probably the negative thoughts from the past that are bothering you, or fears about the future. So you will have to analyze what it is and work upon them. There are a lot of techniques through which the uh, past thoughts, negative thoughts can be handled. And like someone just said, take a 10 minutes walk, but the glitch is that you may be thinking about the same things while you are walking. So you have to be very, very particular of what's going on in your head. So how to handle overcare of child? Yeah, can we have the next question?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, there is another question where they're asking to just explain some tips for handling the combined family relations.
Okay. Joint families have their own pros and cons. And there actually you need to set boundaries, like I said, for yourself and for others. So, especially when you have you are working and the other women in the house are not working, there may be certain set of expectations, but you need to make them clear right in the beginning. You have to be assertive and you have to create boundaries, right? Then whenever possible, delegate or seek external help, because joint families, a lot of things are good about joint families that we may overlook, because those are the advantages or the benefits that we are getting, and we tend to focus only on the disadvantages. So just weigh the advantages and the disadvantages, and dialogue is the way out. You have to make your stand clear to everyone, because like I said, in relationships, most of the problems are about expectations and assumptions. So you have to do away with both of them. Expectations, other people's expectations, as well as your own expectations. So you have to take care of both the ends in terms of expectations, and make your stand clear as to what you are capable of doing or contributing, or what you are not capable of contributing, so that the expectations of the other people can be lowered and the conflict thereafter can be reduced. I hope that answers your question. And if you have any other issues, you have my number on the screen and you can get in touch with me. I can
Yes, ma'am.
help.
We are getting responses from the participants. So they are saying that it is fantastic and finely explained. And thank you so much, ma'am, for that. So I think that is it for today, for today's question and answers round as well. So as ma'am has already told you that there is a email address also on the screen and her phone number also, which she has generously provided to all of us, so that we can all just approach her if we find any issues in our life. Thank you so much, ma'am, and I hope that all of us will be able to de-stress ourselves after this session. And
Thank
it
you
was
so much.
wonderful connecting.
Thank you. See you tomorrow at
Sure,
3
sure.
yeah,
Yes, 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 sure, ma'am.
with
Thank you.
something more exciting tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So this was it for today's third session, and now it's time for the next session where there will be a lot of excitement, I think, amongst all of us. And Ms. Agrima Bhasin, she is the next speaker for today. And let us take a 5-10 minutes break and let's come back again. Whoever wants to just uh, take a break, they can just go and get back to the screen after maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll be starting again with the next session.
Thanks.
Agrima, ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can we just go for a quick video check as well?
Sure.
You're audible. Yeah. Yeah, yes. You're visible.
I had sent in my presentation since I'm
Yes.
logging in from my phone. Have you been able to receive it?
We have with us your PPT.
Okay.
With
Okay.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, yes. Sure.
Yes. So I would like to take the opportunity to welcome Ms. Agrima Bhasin first to this online FTP event. And today, ma'am is amongst us, and she'll be just giving us a brief, and she'll be talking about self-compassion. And I would like to just introduce ma'am first. Agrima Bhasin ma'am, she is an educator, compassionate, leadership trainer, social policy analyst, and writer. She's based in Delhi. She's a gold medalist in journalism from Delhi's Lady Shri Ram College, and she graduated in social anthropology. Ma'am, she's a dynamic young professional who has over 10 years of experience in the field of social policy and education. She has been actively working with several schools, colleges, and organizations across the country to help them cultivate compassionate leadership in their personal and professional lives. She believes each of us can be compassionate leaders in our everyday life. She has written for leading newspapers like The Hindu and worked with reputed organizations like the UN. She is also a guest faculty at JS Mentoring, a mentoring platform for UPSC aspirants, where she teaches editorial analysis, essay writing, communications, and ethics and values. So, after a round of introduction, I think that the participants must be eager enough to just listen from you, ma'am. And I would like to just hand over to you. And we are just fortunate enough to have amongst us such an esteemed speaker today. So, ma'am, I would like to hand over to you. And I'll be sharing your PPT. So you can just tell me for the upcoming slides to just move as per your flow. Thanks. Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this gracious introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, and you can also see me?
Yes, ma'am, you're visible.
Okay, great. Thank you once again for this, gracious introduction. And I am very grateful to Indira Gandhi Delhi Technical University for Women for organizing this AICTE at the same time Atal Faculty Development Program. I really hope that this gives us an opportunity to enrich ourselves in the next hour that we have. So if we could have the presentation accessible, I'd be able to move forward. Ma'am, is the presentation coming up?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just sharing in one more moment.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'd like to welcome all the participants, the teachers, the faculty members who've joined us this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining. And I hope that this session today on self-compassion for educators is something that resonates with you, that is able to equip you with a few practical tools and strategies to start walking on the path of self-compassion. And I'm sure that those of you who have been walking this path can also take away a few other suggestions to apply to your daily life. We'll just wait shortly for the presentation to upload, and then we'll begin. Meanwhile, I think while the presentation is being uploaded, I would really encourage all of you to, think of a time in your life when you were compassionate towards yourself. think of a time in your life when you were compassionate towards yourself versus being harsh on yourself. And please ensure that you are writing in the chat box. Let the chat box be a thread that is alive. So a time when you were compassionate towards yourself, and if you'd like to share that with us. Okay, so ma'am, we could move on to the next slide now. The previous one, yes. So the session today will speak about the importance of self-compassion for educators. Amidst our very hectic schedules, we are unable to give ourselves the kind of care that we often extend to others. We have personal, family, professional demands that are impinging on our time, and amidst that, we often forget that the love, the understanding, the acceptance that we offer to others is also the love, understanding, and acceptance that we ourselves need. And if others cannot give us that love, understanding, and acceptance sometimes, then we owe it to ourselves to give that love, understanding, and acceptance. So, ma'am, we move on to the next slide now. I want you to imagine these situations that I have for you. And I hope that the text is visible for everyone. Each of us is facing some situation or the other in our life. And I will read out this situation for you one by one. Imagine that your friend Rita, who is also a teacher, comes to you for advice and shares that she's struggling with her online classes. She feels that her students are dull, they don't speak. At the home front, she has no time to supervise her son's online classes. Her husband is not the kindest person during the pandemic, she thinks, and even the responsibility of her 87-year-old father-in-law is on her head. And she comes to you seeking advice. What would you tell her? Okay, so what would you tell her? I want you to think of this situation. If Rita, a friend, comes to you, she talks about how she's struggling with her online classes because the pandemic is a situation that threw us all into a remote emergency learning experience. And it has taken a while for educators to adapt to it, though they've adapted to it wonderfully. And Rita is sharing about these experiences, and she comes to you for advice. So there's someone, I think, who has written to us, and let me see if I can access what is being said in the chat box. Ma'am, I doubt if I can access it, but I'm trying. I would advise her to remain calm and help her in some way or the other, says Priyanjana. So thanks very much, Priyanjana, for that. And Smita, ma'am, says that, time management and listing of priorities is something that I would highly recommend to Rita. So thanks for that, ma'am. We'll move on to the next situation, and we'll come back to Rita's situation. And meanwhile, I'd love for you to keep commenting, and I'll keep taking your comments from the chat box as much as possible. Ma'am, if we could move on to the next situation. Okay, Ranjani also says, I'll ask her to sit down and look at her priorities, make everything a passion. So those are excellent responses. You all will try and really understand her situation, and these are the kind of responses you'd give her, okay? So the second situation that we look at, and we'll go back to Rita's situation in a while, is that your sibling, Vijay, comes to you and tells you that his work during the pandemic has completely come to a halt, and he is practically jobless. At the moment, he's sitting at home and watching television or playing video games. This has doubled the burden on his wife, who is not only looking for a second job, but she also has to take care of the children at home and look after the household work. Vijay expresses that his wife is on the brink of collapse, and in all of this, he feels like a failure, a loser, and experiences a sense of depression. Okay, so if Vijay, your sibling, were to come to you and say this to you, what are your first thoughts towards Vijay? Like, what would you want to tell him? How would you comfort him? Okay, so if there are any quick responses that you have, I would love to take them and have a look at what you have to say. I'm just going to access. Okay. Okay, this is for the first situation. Archana ma'am says that she's going to hear Rita out. That's right. Smita ma'am says that he should share the workload of the wife and go for a skill upgradation or solutions program to get business or work. So those are some excellent suggestions, ma'am. Anna, another suggestion is that never leave hope. Keep searching for jobs. Help the wife as far as the household chores are concerned. So excellent thoughts. Exactly. These are the kind of things. If I'm missing out on your comments, or ma'am, if I leave out any comments because I'm just trying to navigate the screen, please alert me so that I don't miss out on what our educators are saying. Okay, so these are the kind of education is the key to any kind of job. Should try to keep looking. So these are the kind of excellent suggestions you would give to Vijay. Great. We'll again come back, to Vijay's narrative. Ma'am, could we move on to the third narrative now? Thank you, educators, for your responses. That's I'd encourage more of you to respond. If I'm unable to take your suggestions, please forgive me. I'm just trying to navigate my online screen. You can show some compassion towards me. Okay, so narrative number 3. You have known for a while now that your friend Anamika is in bad shape. She has confessed to you that she is so caught up with her teaching responsibilities that she doesn't even have the time to look at her family and friends' faces. She has become short tempered, rude, and lashes out at whoever questions her. She is 40, she's unmarried, she's overweight, diagnosed with BP and diabetes. Her skin is drying up, her dark circles are deepening, and I can't do this anymore. I want to quit academia, is what she tells you. Okay, this is your friend Anamika. She's come to you, bearing her burden and sharing her burden with you. What would you tell Anamika? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? What would you tell Anamika? So let me know if you are writing. All right, to anyone who wants to share their comments in the chat box, I'll wait for you to let me know what you would let Anamika know in this situation. Okay. So, all right. Mr. Anil says she should work on health and yoga. All right. So, advice that would help her, with her physical fitness and BP and diabetes. Excellent. Priyanjana ma'am says, I would advise her to remain calm. And this is for the first one. She says, not to quit academia, give herself some quality time and manage things accordingly. So don't quit, but manage your time and give yourself some quality time. Smita ma'am says, this is a familiar situation of one of my friends, and I suggested to her to converse with more people and join a group of similar people. And you're also suggesting her to get the right diagnosis for her health condition. So, excellent. These, I'll take some more comments before I move further. Archana ma'am and Tenarasi sir says that problem is not with the job, try to reduce weight. Yes, sometimes your physical health can be overbearing and make you feel like it is your job or your home that is the problem. But in fact, maybe if you just work on one aspect, you would be able to tackle things better and remain confident, please forgive me if I'm not getting your names correct. Whatever I can see on the screen, I'll try and read that out. Dr. Yogeshwari says we can advise her to take care of her health first. She has to improve her confidence level and try to come back to a normal situation. So brilliant. These are the kind of suggestions that you would give her. Rajni ma'am says, I shall suggest her not to quit her job, rather join a yoga class, try to make teaching a joyful profession, says Jai Lakshmi ma'am. And Sheikh Nazima Kausar says, I would ask her to take a break. All right. Others are saying I'd ask her to relax, take a short break. Excellent. So thank you for these, responses. Ma'am, if we can go on to the next slide, that will be helpful. So the idea to have you interact and send in these responses is because in most of these situations, we are likely to comfort our friends, we are likely to comfort our siblings, our loved ones, even a stranger for that matter. We show a lot of compassion. You've given some excellent suggestions, to all these individuals. Shows that you do exercise a sense of self-compassion in your own life, which is brilliant to know. And you'll try and understand them with all your heart. You will not blame your friends and siblings. You will not judge them harshly, and you'll try and brainstorm solutions. So many of you mentioned yoga classes for Anamika. You mentioned that Vijay should undertake a skills upgradation course, so on and so forth. You try and you'd let Rita know that she should have a priority list and manage her time better. So usually in these situations, we will exercise compassion. We will try and show a lot of empathy to the others. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go back to these situations before I proceed further. Ma'am, if we could go back to Rita's narrative, which was the first narrative that we have. Yes, thank you. Now, these are real life situations. I'm sure all of you can relate to one or two or the other aspects from each of these narratives. As far as Rita is concerned, if she were to sit down with us, we'll help delineate her problem and we'll tell her that, look, as far as online classes are concerned, try and make teaching fun. There are a lot of tutorials that help you make online classes fun and engaging, and you can always watch them on YouTube. You know your subject so well, so don't feel like you can't reinvigorate your classes. Okay, as far as your son is concerned, do not feel that you have to control every aspect of his learning. Every child is gifted. They navigate their own path of learning. So let him be. And in the evening, maybe you can review what he has done. Understand that your husband is also experiencing a difficult time during the pandemic. Perhaps that's not making him a kind person in the moment, but maybe he feels the same about you. So why don't you talk to him about this situation? And as far as your father-in-law is concerned, make sure that whoever else is around you in the family, that you ask them to also shoulder a bit of your responsibility, so that you're all taking care of the father-in-law. And of course, like you all suggested, sit down, have a priority list, manage your time better, don't lose hope, and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the kind of things we can say to Rita. Ma'am, if we could go on to the next slide, please. To Vijay, firstly, to give him a lot of hope is important, because he's feeling depressed. He's feeling like a failure, a loser, just to reaffirm his sense of worth as a brother or a sister, letting him know that he's not the only one who's work has come to a halt. Many others are in the same boat. Of course, some brilliant suggestions came from you that he should undertake a skills upgradation course. He should perhaps work on his CV from the scratch. Like all of you said, keep trying, the work scenario, in the work scenario, and not lose hope. Shoulder a lot of the responsibilities on the home front, taking care of the children, taking care of the house. Our skills that are gender neutral should be known by men and women. And if he could reassure his wife of a lot of these responsibilities that he can partake in, the situation can certainly go upswing. So excellent suggestions by all of you, and giving Vijay a lot of hope that keep trying and have great deal of hope. You're not alone in this boat. So those are the kind of things we'd say to comfort him. And we'll go to the last narrative now. Anamika's situation, where she has been very open about sharing how she is feeling preoccupied with work. She's become short-tempered, rude. All of us have lashed out. All of us have sometimes become frustrated, short-tempered. She's someone who, of course, is also facing other issues, and perhaps she thinks about the fact that she's not married and she's of a certain age, of a certain weight. She's been diagnosed with a blood pressure issue as well as diabetes. So like a lot of you said, you tell her not to quit academia. You tell her to go get a proper diagnosis, put herself on the right nutrition as well as physical exercise of her choice. As far as her being preoccupied with teaching responsibilities is concerned, all of us can sometimes tend to be workaholics. We have so much work, but something that helps is to have a sunset hour. You want to have a sunset hour and tell yourself that, well, after 6 p.m. in the evening, my books are shut, and this is the time that I'm going to have my evening tea with family, spend some time with my kids, maybe go for a 20-30 minute walk, and this is my sunset hour. So those are the, and as far as Anamika is concerned, we tell her to sit her family down. To lash out at people who love us the most sometimes becomes a default response, but it is unfair to them. But the fact that Anamika is aware of who she's becoming in the process is helpful. And as a friend, we'd ask her to sit down with her family. It is okay to take help, apologize to them, tell them, I need your help to get on track, and never lose hope. Tell her that, you're brilliant at your subject, so why quit academia? Why think that academia is the problem? Maybe if you handle certain other aspects of your life, everything will fall into place. So great. Thank you all for the comments and the suggestions that you offered. So now we'll move forward to the next slide, and maybe the slide after that. Yes, the one, yeah. So the idea of sharing these narratives with you was to understand if we can offer this kind of genuine advice and counsel and encouragement to our friends and siblings and loved ones, even strangers. I mean, we were able to do it in Rita's, Vijay's, and Amika's case. Then why do we sometimes forget to offer the same kind of understanding to ourselves? Surely we face overwhelming situations in our life of a similar nature, and often we are very harsh with ourselves. We do not make loving sense of our circumstances. We could have faced a lot of situations that Rita has faced, or Vijay is facing, or perhaps we are in Vijay's wife's shoes, or we are in Anamika's situation, or we know someone who's in Anamika's situation in our life. Why can we not make that loving sense of our own situation, our own life, when we can perfectly do that for other people? Okay, so and we'll move on to the next slide. Just like Rita and Vijay and Anamika were facing these particular situations in their life, I do not know the situation that you are currently facing, but most of us at some point or the other are facing some situation or the other. I wouldn't know the situation that you're facing, but you could be. I'm speculating here in this presentation, but I hope that this resonates with you. You could be overwhelmed by the load of responsibilities on the professional front, from classes to concerns of students, academic, non-academic, administrative responsibilities. Perhaps you have a career trajectory that you have to plan, and you are, all the time thinking about it. That's the kind of self-talk that's in your mind, and that's okay. All of us can be at that space in some point or the other. You could have challenges on the personal front, maybe health related, like Anamika, or spouse related, children related, family, extended family conflicts that you're dealing with at the moment. Perhaps you are facing a financial problem, dealing with the loss of a loved one, maybe a personal setback, a trauma of some nature, feeling misunderstood in general, by people around you. Perhaps a few of us are dealing with guilt of some nature, shame, unforgiveness. Maybe you are unable to forgive something that someone has done towards you, and it is eating you from the inside. Dwelling in the past, often we live in the past, and that's a lot of the negative self-talk that goes on in our head. Or dwelling in the future, too much stress about kya hoga, aage kya hoga, what's going to happen in future. All of this can often lead us towards exhaustion, a great deal of burnout that educators are facing. Not just educators, of course, people all around us. And you feel like you've lost that spark that you used to have, So you could be facing any of these situations, just like the three people in those three narratives were facing. So I do not know what it is that you're facing, but whatever it is that you are facing at the moment, we hope that, ma'am, if we could move on to the next slide. It is my hope that you will encourage yourself and be the friend that you were to Rita, Vijay, and Anamika. You immediately, all of us started writing about what we would tell them. And it's easy when we are analyzing someone else's situation, but can we consistently work towards offering that kind of understanding towards us? Of course, many of us do that. Many of us do exercise self-compassion, but can we do it consistently and more often? Okay, so understanding yourself like you would understand a friend. Okay, now I hope that this is the biggest takeaway from this session, that you understand yourself no matter what situation you are facing, that you sit yourself down as though you're talking to a friend, and you're able to exercise self-compassion, to make loving sense of yourself and your circumstances. And the word loving is really critical, because often we make a very disgruntled sense of ourselves. Why did I do this? And I'm a fool. And we enter into a world of self-doubt and negativity, a lot of harsh criticism against ourselves, sometimes a great deal of pity. Why does it only happen to me? So show kindness to yourself, not from a place of weakness or self-pity or victimhood, but from a place of strength, empathy, self-empathy, and self-awareness. Okay, so that's what self-compassion really is. You want to make loving sense of your own reality, no matter what situation you're facing, and not think of it as a weakness that, I'm trying to understand myself. How did it happen? What's happening? Not to pity yourselves either, but to understand your situation like you understand the situation of a friend. Okay, so ma'am, we move on to the next slide now. How to be self-compassionate. Okay, so how do we arrive? If you are in a certain situation today, no matter what it is, there are a few things you can do to arrive at a level of self-compassion and maintain that consistently in your life. The first thing I'd highly recommend is that we are all in a so-called rat race. Our lives are very busy. We're running on work treadmills that we often don't get off from. So we need to pause. We need to slow down. And we really need to sit with ourselves and develop a sense of self-awareness about our situation. You see, Rita, Vijay, and Anamika, they were self aware people. They knew exactly what is happening with their lives. You know, that Rita was overwhelmed with a number of responsibilities. Vijay knew exactly how the lack of job was making him feel, and that he also knew that, he's watching television, playing video games. Somewhere he knew that he could be doing something else. And we are giving him a suggestion that take care of the household a little more, enroll yourself in a skill upgradation course and so on. Anamika was extremely self-aware of how she was lashing out at people, how her life and work had overtaken her personal life, how it was impacting her health. And so developing a self-awareness, you have to be honest with yourself. We cannot think that everything is fine. And if you are experiencing a certain degree of stress, which brings me to my next point, notice the signs of distress. Okay, you want to pause, slow down, develop an understanding of your situation. What is it that is really troubling me? Just like Rita, Vijay, and Anamika did. Notice the signs of distress. This could be overt or covert. You could have overt signs like Anamika did in terms of her body weight, dark circles, chipping off her skin, or you could have covert signs, which is sometimes you are experiencing certain inner, feelings some people call it a heartburn. Sometimes it's a chest pain. Sometimes it's a headache. Sometimes you will see that you are experiencing a lot of body ache, but the reason is something else. It's not a physical ailment. Maybe it's linked to the kind of stress that you're facing. So I would really encourage you, if you're facing a particular situation, to notice the signs of distress, whether it's your hair, your skin, your body, some pain. Is it linked to any kind of severe stress or anxiety or feelings of low self-worth in your life? So please notice those signs of distress and call them out. Comprehend the adverse impact. We have to understand how the situation that we are in impacts our personal life, our personal well-being, our relationships, our work, our how we interact with people in the society. Most of it goes downhill. Okay, so we want to understand the adverse impact that our current situation is having, and therefore move towards changing that situation. Neha ma'am, is there any, do I need to pause? Is there any glitch? I just wanted to check because all is on track.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Please move on.
okay, great. So, we want to be able to understand the impact, the adverse impact of if we remain in the same situation, it will have certain negative impact, and we have to comprehend how it is impacting our work, how it is impacting our relations. Vijay's relations with his wife was strained. Anamika's relation with her family was strained. She was able to understand how it is impacting her health and her relations. Number 5, do not judge yourself. Be affected by other people's judgment or judge others. Now, this is a very difficult thing to do, but if we consciously exercise this non-judgment muscle, we should be able to arrive at that. We want to not judge ourselves. If you're making loving we're showing loving concern to ourselves, like you showed to Rita and Vijay and Anamika, then you also want to show that to yourself. Please don't judge yourself for being in a certain position. Don't call yourself a loser, a failure, a failed wife, mother, husband, sibling, all the kind of labels that we use towards us. Rita probably thought she was a failed teacher, but that's not what we'd encourage her to think. She just needed to take a hold, perhaps to a priority list and get her life on track, and seek help in terms of looking after her father-in-law. So, and don't be affected by other people's judgment. People will speak, like the previous speaker also mentioned, people love to talk. They love to sometimes take us down with their words. We must try and ensure that we know that our worth comes from a divine source, and nothing that others can say should impact us, or we must make every attempt not to take it personally. Okay, we have to be that strong in ourselves. Also, not judge others for what they are saying. Their job is to speak, but you want to focus on how you want to show compassion to yourself and move towards alleviation of your suffering. Okay, reaffirm your self-worth. Like we discussed, we needed to reaffirm Rita's self-worth, Vijay's self-worth. No, you are not a loser. Everybody, many people in this pandemic have lost their jobs, and they are similarly sitting at home. As long as you can take some proactive steps to get your life on the right track, don't call yourself this. Just like we can say this to Vijay, we have to say this to ourselves in so many moments that I'm juggling too many things. It's okay, I will make mistakes, I'm not perfect. We have to get rid of the perfection syndrome. It's a syndrome that we want everything perfect. Yes, we can aim towards better priorities, better time management, but don't beat yourself for making mistakes, and others in your life should also allow you to make mistakes. Okay, last one, commit to alter the situation, take small steps. So we recommended a number of small steps to Rita, to Vijay, to Anamika. Go for a health checkup, sit down with your family, apologize to them for lashing out, tell them you need your help, make sure that proper nutritious food is cooked for you, join a yoga class. So we have to take these small steps and commit attitudinally, mentally. We have to commit to altering our situation, transforming our situation from a place of negativity, frustration, overwhelm, to a positive, more balanced nurturing of ourselves. So we want to commit to altering the situation by taking small steps after we have done all of these other things. Okay, so we'll move to the next slide now. All right, so I will take 5 more minutes, and after that, we can take some questions, and we can make this session interactive. If there is scope for the participants to unmute themselves and speak, that will be wonderful. Or if Neha ma'am can help us, moderate, that will be also helpful. So before we go into a question and answer session and really make this interactive, I have a few self-compassion, self-care routines or rituals that each of us can build into our lives. Self-compassion and self-care should not be a one-time affair. There are a lot of myths about self-compassion that you'll hear, that, oh, it's a luxury. Who has the time to think about oneself? Who has the time to take a breath, or, sip coffee or read a book? I mean, life is so hectic. So those are excuses. Those are myths. Where there is a will, there's certainly a way. You must not listen to voices that make self-compassion or self-care sound like a time-consuming affair, something that is not a necessity, something that is a luxury. Those are myths that you want to bust for yourself. Number one, can we find and fix a me time. It is critical that you have a me time. I do not know when that is for you. Maybe for a Rita, it could be right before she goes to sleep. Maybe for a Vijay, at the moment he has a lot of time, but can he have constructive me time to actually, move his life forward? Work on introspect and really channel that into his daily life. So if I'd really encourage you to have a me time whenever it suits you. Maybe at 4 in the evening works for you, or 6 in the morning, or 11 in the night, whatever works for you. I'd encourage you to just pause and take a deep breath, and do that to the counts of 6, maybe 20 times or 30 times. Perhaps you like sitting in silence with a cup of tea, you or a cup of coffee, and you want to connect with nature. So these are the things or activities you can do in the me time to really empty your mind, or just connect with yourself. So make sure that you are doing that. I can't stress this enough. Life will always make us run, but can we ritualize, just like we brush our teeth, we take care of our health, we fix our hair, can we fix our heart, and can we slow down very consciously and take this me time out? Number two, reading your favorite books, your magazines, browsing through some old photo albums, listening to music, unwinding with movies, whatever it is that you enjoy. I'd really encourage you to do that. Make sure that you are taking some time out to do this. Journaling is another self-compassion ritual. If you like to write and pen your thoughts, or doodle, or draw, or sketch, whatever it is that you like, I hope that you can journal your thoughts. I know a couple who have a gratitude journal. Okay, they have a gratitude journal. Every morning the both of them write 3 things that they are grateful for today, and at night they review those 3 things and again give thanks for those 3 things that they are grateful for. And they do this each and every day. You can just imagine the kind of gratitude journal they have by now, but it keeps them grounded. You want to count your blessings rather than remain in your suffering. So that's the idea of journaling. You can invest in a nice little small journal, and every day write your 3 blessings of gratitude. And we're just going to do a gratitude exercise with you, hopefully, if I have enough time, and we're going to try and do a gratitude exercise. Okay. You want to stretch, make sure that you are physically fit, and sometimes our lifestyles can be sedentary. We want to break that pattern and build in rituals of movement, conscious movement, and that's what number 4 is about. Ma'am, we'll move forward now to the next slide, please. Okay, so you want to connect with your friends, your family, your children. You want to laugh and lose time with them. This is very, very important. Like Anamika said, she is so preoccupied with her work and her responsibilities that she doesn't even have the time to look right or left, and look at the faces of her family members. Perhaps they need her too, just like she needs them, and she's not there for them. Perhaps there are nieces and nephews that need her, but she's not there for them. Children need them. Children just need you to lose some time with them. Not everything has to be about their homework and about their career and about what they're going to do. Just spend time with them, laugh with them, lose time with your spouse, with your children, with the elderly at home, with your extended family, with your friends. This is very important. I know time is of the essence, but unless we lose time or learn to lose some time, I think we will always only commodify time and always think of utilizing time. I'm consciously asking you to lose some time because that will help you feel connected with your family and friends. Okay. Taking social media detox, this is self-explanatory. I don't have to talk about it. I think all of us know the kind of impact or effect that social media has on us. There are studies that show that, it fuels an unhealthy subconscious voice in your mind that is always comparing your life to other people, who's going where, who's doing what, who's in which restaurant, which holiday are they taking, what are they cooking, so that kind of unhealthy comparison is a comparison you want to stay away from. Using social media in moderation, and do not let social media control you. You can control social media and your consumption of it. So I'd encourage you to take a detox, not allow your lives to be controlled by your gadgets. We have gadgets to fuel our growth and our productivity and even leisure time, but let us not allow them to rule over us. Number 7, consciously pursuing a hobby. It could be anything for you. All of you have hobbies, all of us have hobbies, and if we can consciously pursue them, that would be an exercise of self-compassion towards us. Reaching out to those in need. This is linked to self-compassion because we get so caught up in our usual set of responsibilities. It becomes I, me, myself, my family, my work, and that's about it. I, me, myself, my family, my work, that's about it. We are witnessing one of the worst pandemics we have ever witnessed. We know that not only was it a health disaster, it turned into a humanitarian disaster, with migrants walking for miles and walking home just to get 2 meals a day and maybe shelter. They lost their jobs. We know people were affected severely, and we want to be able to reach out to them. If you are someone who cooks well, and if you are someone who is generous enough to share your resources, make sure that you are looking left and right, and maybe making some extra sandwiches for your guards, making a little toiletry kit or a ration kit to your domestic help, or to whoever else who is in need and is around you. Reaching out to others in these times is an act of kindness, towards them, and it helps you break away from the circle of I, me, myself, my family, and my work. You want to be compassionate towards others as well, who are not in your immediate circle of influence. So please ensure that we are reaching out in empathetic ways in times of pandemic to others. And over a period of time, you'd realize that that's a very important civic responsibility and role with great compassion that you are capable of playing. You could hand out your money, you could prepare a ration kit, you could prepare a toiletry kit, you could cook extra pulao, extra meal, whatever it is that you're cooking, some extra meals so that you can offer them to your support system around you, and extend a lot of love and compassion towards them as well. Okay, and the last one here is really living in the present. We have to catch ourselves when we have a self-talk going on. We're living in the future, what's going to happen, what if this happens or that, or we are dwelling in the past. And the present moment is a beautiful one. Like, many of you must be thinking that what are we going to do after this workshop or after this session by Agrima? You have already, you have a list of responsibilities, that you have to take care of. But when you're in this moment, just enjoy this moment. You can listen to me, you can listen to each other, you can, follow the questions people are writing in the chat box, etc. So just be in this moment and forget about what you have to do next. Once this is over, you'll anyway get there. Okay, so enjoy the present moment. This Vietnamese monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, he wrote beautiful lines in a book called Being Peace. Okay, it's called Being Peace, and the PDF is available on Google. He wrote beautiful lines. He was a Vietnamese monk. He is a Vietnamese monk, I think, still alive. And he talks about how it takes no money to enjoy, the blossoming of a flower. to stop and admire the beautiful sky. It takes no money to consciously admire the face of a loved one and be there for them, to offer encouragement. If there's an elderly person in your family, let's spend some time with them, ask them about their journey, their past, make them talk a little, because they can be very lonely often. You want to give them some time. Some old aunt, you can give them a call. Consciously calling people who you haven't reached out to is also an act of kindness towards them. So, living in the present, reaching out to others, make sure that we are doing that. Okay. So I think I have a few. Ma'am, the title of the book is Being Peace, BEING space peace, PEACE, Being Peace. Okay, so by Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese monk, and he's written a beautiful book called Being Peace. I can actually share the PDF with you, but if you go and type Being Peace Thich Nhat Hanh on Google, you will get a PDF, and the full book is available. It's a beautiful book. I'd really encourage you to read it, or avail a copy of it. It's a wonderful book to read. Now, the next slide. The idea of developing, a self-compassion routine and the kind of rituals that I have mentioned is so that you can be mindful, rather than the second mindful that you are seeing on your screens, rather than being having a mind that is full and all the time buzzing and thinking. You want to consciously develop self-compassion routines where you can empty your mind, connect with yourself, and recharge yourself. Your phones also require charging. Human body is also a machine that requires recharging, and I hope that we can do that. Ma'am, I'm unable to see the presentation. If it is still around, I would love to see it.
Just hold for a second.
Okay, all right. Meanwhile, what we can do is, if you all have questions or suggestions, or how, and if you want to share how you have been exercising self-compassion towards yourself, and we can learn from you, please share your thoughts in the comment box, and share your questions, your comments. I'd also really encourage you to, I do not know if my presentation is back. Yes, I'll quickly take you through the presentation, and then we can come to the comment box. Okay, so you want to be someone who's mindful rather than with a mind that is full. Okay, and it helps you in every aspect of your life, fuels your creativity, helps you work on your relations. You're someone who's consciously reflecting on your life. Okay, so ma'am, we'll go on to the next one. Be nicer to yourself. It's like self-compassion is like giving yourself a hug, and remember that you'll always be there as a friend for yourself. There will be times in life where nobody stands right next to us. Maybe we have to give ourselves the maximum understanding that others are unable to in that moment. Okay, so be nicer to yourself. And we'll move on to the next slide. That's just a visual for the women who are participating in this session, and also the men who are participating. If you have spouses, you have daughters, you have mothers, I hope that you can reach out to them and consider their welfare, and send this message of self-compassion to them, because I hope that this is what they look like, women who are well nurtured and cared for. And it's a visual that I hope helps you reach out to the women in your life, and the women who are participants here. I hope that you too can reach out to yourself in this manner, as well as to other women in your own life. Okay, so we'll go on to the next slide. This is also self-explanatory, sipping a cup of tea. I hope that more of you can make such time, fix and identify a me time for yourself, so that you are filling your own cup. Your own cup needs to be full, so that whatever comes out of you comes out because you are a person who's full rather than empty and drained out. Okay, so that's another visual. Please also, this is also for the women and the men. If you have men and women in your lives, your sons, your spouses, your fathers, your brother-in-laws, your students, whoever, make sure that you are encouraging them to care for themselves, to be compassionate towards themselves, not be overdriven, over ambitious, over perfectionists, and take some time out for themselves. Okay, so ma'am, we'll move on to the next one. This is what we discussed today. Treat yourself as you would treat a good friend, just like you all treated Rita and Vijay and Anamika, and you continue to treat many of your other friends in your life and your family members. I hope that we all treat ourselves in a similar manner. Okay, and Kristen Neff, if you see the source at the bottom of this picture, Kristen Neff is an authority on self-compassion. She's written a book, and I hope that, and it's called Self-Compassion, the Power of Being Kind to Yourself. Okay, self-compassion, the power of being kind to yourself. Kristen Neff, if many of you are interested, you could definitely read that book. Okay. And the final slide is summing up everything that we have spoken about so far. Self-compassion is simply giving the same kindness to ourselves that we would give to others. Okay, we often give the kind of understanding and love to others. This is what I opened with. But sometimes we need to sit ourselves down and give ourselves the same understanding, the same love, perhaps the same hug, if you like, that we give to others. So with that, I come to a close of my formal presentation. We can move over to, the chat box, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if there are any self-compassion routines that you all have that we can learn from, and we can just get a discussion and a dialogue going. Okay, so I thank you for that. And Neha ma'am, do we have time for maybe a gratitude exercise?
Yes, ma'am, we do have time, so we can take this up.
Okay,
So,
all right. So let me just see if there are any comments. Uh, educators, I'd really encourage you to send in your comments or your thoughts. If there's a possibility to unmute yourselves and you want to share a thought or speak, please do that so that we can hear you. Tenarasi ma'am, I'm sorry, I get that you are not sir. Thanks for letting me know. So I'd love to interact with you now. There's a little gratitude exercise that I thought we could do with your permission. Maybe we could do that. But I think Meenal ma'am has something to say. Meenal ma'am, should we do a quick gratitude exercise and then take comments? I want to do this in a democratic way. So whatever you all say. I would love to hear what you have to say. Whatever you all say, would you like to do the exercise, or would you want to move over? Neha ma'am, could you help us moderate this?
so I think we can have your suggestions in the chat box. So whatever the participants say, we can go ahead.
Okay. So if the participants can let me know in the chat box if you'd like to do a quick gratitude exercise, or if you'd like to move on to question and answers, we can do whatever you like. Okay, so many of you are saying yes. So we'll quickly do this. What I'd like you to do is, if you have a diary in front of you, or a piece of paper, if you could just have two pieces of paper or whatever notebook that you have in front of you. What I want you to do is this. I want you to either draw, you can draw in stick figures, no problem, just stick figures, you don't have to be a paint artist. So I want you to either draw or list 4 things that you are grateful for about yourself. 4 things about yourself that you are grateful for. Okay, you want to thank God for it, or you are grateful to life that there are these 4 things about you in particular as a person that you are grateful for. Okay, then I want you to similarly draw or list 4 things you are grateful for about your family. Okay, another 4 things that you are grateful for in the context of your work, whatever work you do, wherever you're teaching, or whatever professionally you are engaged with. 4 things that you're grateful for about your profession or your work. And finally, I want you to write 4 things that you are grateful about as far as nature is concerned. What is it about nature that you love and enjoy the most? Okay, so 4 things. Of course, you can mention more than 4 if you like. But if you have a piece of paper in front of you, I'd like you to take 5 minutes and do this. And after you've done that, many of you can also, I'd encourage you to share your comments, whatever you have written in the chat box as well. You can tell us what are the 4 things you've written as far as you are concerned, your family, your work, and nature. Okay, I hope that the exercise is clear. If we were doing this exercise in person, I would give you a nice A4 sheet folded into 4 sections. On the first side, it's like a card. It's like a card that opens. I'd like you to draw 4 things about yourself on the first page. And then when you open it, I'd like 4 things about your family that you're grateful for, another 4 things about your work, and the final page, like a card is closing, I wanted you to write about 4 things you're grateful for in nature. Okay, so 5 minutes and then we can reconvene. If you could do this and then type your comments in the chat box, we can proceed further. Okay, 5 minutes. If you could quickly do this reflection and then we can move forward. Many of you are typing in the chat box. I think that's really excellent. Please continue to do that. 4 things about yourself that you're grateful for, 4 things about your family, 4 about your work, and 4 about nature. It'll be lovely if you can type your comments in the chat box so that I can take them. I'm giving you 5 minutes, so we can just wait for 5 minutes.
Yeah, since we're doing the exercise, so I have an announcement to make. There is this extra session tomorrow, which we missed yesterday, from 5 to 6:30 in the evening by Professor Muchiyada on Ikigai. So I just want to inform you all that we have an extra session tomorrow. Kindly continue with the exercise.
Okay, so I hope that if you can do this on a piece of paper and keep that paper with you, maybe in your wallet, or in a bag or in a folder that you access very often, then you can always have a gratitude hour. Like in the course of your day, you could have a gratitude hour. Like you could take out that paper thrice a day. And look at it, and it will fill you with a dose of great love, affection, positivity. So you could have a gratitude hour built into your day. You can keep this paper somewhere in your wallet or a folder or a book that you access daily, and that's just my suggestion to you. So great, let's take some comments from the chat box, or would you like me to give you some more time to do this? Many of you are writing, I would like to thank God for good family, wife, children, friends. Chintan sir, that's excellent. Thank you for writing that. Grateful to God that He blessed me with a good own house. Yeah, you're grateful to God for your home, your house. Sandhya ma'am is saying that. Gratitude towards family and most important things in nature. Okay, yeah, you have gratitude towards your family. Chintan sir is also letting us know that he feels that his department, the work at my department, the faculty members are very supportive. They always give guidance if anything goes wrong. That is wonderful to know, sir. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's truly a blessing. Kavita ma'am says, patience, responsible, enthusiastic, and kind to others. Now, Kavita ma'am has written about herself. This is wonderful. I can tell you, Kavita ma'am, that when I do this exercise, people find it the hardest to write about themselves. There have been participants who have been clueless as to what to write about themselves, that they are grateful for, sometimes, and that should tell you the extent of dejection that many of the participants feel, that they're, they've forgotten themselves to that extent. But this is wonderful that you're a patient person, responsible, you're enthusiastic, you're kind to others, and that's wonderful to know, and you're grateful for that. So we're grateful for that too, ma'am, to know that you bring all of this into the world. Lata ma'am says, love, affection, happiness, coordination about family. All right. So thanks, ma'am, for love, affection, happiness. Sandhya ma'am says, grateful to all the unknown friends who have helped us financially. I think that's a beautiful thought. There are so many people who help us out, and remain anonymous. And we have to extend our gratitude to them. There's so many people who fuel our journey, and we want to be grateful to them. So thank you, ma'am, for sharing that. Dr. Upendra says, gratitude to my teachers. Absolutely, gratitude to our teachers. For family, they have provided me all the facilities for my graduation. Even for my marriage, I have taken the decision and they have agreed on it. Truly, sir, that is indeed wonderful. The way our families have provided for us, fueled our studies, accepted people who we have married, and we have everything to be grateful about as far as those decisions are concerned. So wonderful. Family, God, friends, society, nature. Dr. Shalini is grateful for all of these things. Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. Grateful to my children who understand my responsibility and leaving me to attend this event. That's right. Grateful to your children who understand you and are fueling your growth and journey. So, and Kavita ma'am says, grateful to God for giving all that to make me have. Yes, we are grateful to the divine, to God, to life. Dr. Pendra says, I'm grateful for myself and my daughters. Meenal ma'am says, for my body. Absolutely. We're grateful for our hands, our eyes, the nose, this mouth, our beautiful smiles, the bodies that God has given us. Really, we're grateful that, how much do we think about our hands, our fingers, our everything that we put into use. So thanks, Meenal ma'am. Gratitude for support, care, well-being, and need of my family. And grateful for so many endless things, says Sandhya ma'am. So thank you all for sharing this. Rajni ma'am also says, I'm grateful to God and parents and teachers and family and nature, especially the sun. Okay, and Deepali ma'am says, grateful for having lovely parents, lovely husbands, son, cousins, friends, and a lovely team. So gratitude is pouring out of you. I hope that you can take this feeling and this sense of gratitude, and we are certainly taking it from you and are equally grateful for all the things in your life. Your gratitude as participants is infectious, and I hope that you can write this down on a piece of paper and keep this and keep taking this paper out and connecting with it maybe in your me time, and to understand that we are extremely blessed to have all of these people and our own selves and the beautiful qualities that we've been gifted with, in our own lives. Okay, so I will stop speaking now, and I would love for many of you to please share your thoughts. If you can unmute yourselves and speak up, I'd love to hear from you. You could always let me know how you found the session, how you exercise self-compassion in your life. What can I learn from you? I would love to hear something from you that I can maybe apply in my own life, something I may not have mentioned in the video, in this session. This is my moment to learn from you. So Neha ma'am, I'll hand over to you, and if we could just request the participants to share their thoughts, comments, self-compassion routines, and learn from them.
Yes, please. If you have anything to say, you can just raise your hand and then I'll unmute you. By default, they're on mute, so you can just raise your hand and then I can unmute you. If you have anything to say, you can just raise your hand.
And if I have missed out on your comments, please you can speak and you can share those comments.
I think Ms. Archana Nair has something to say. Do you have anything to say, ma'am?
I think Archana ma'am has raised her hand, and there are many other comments that I have missed actually. Please forgive me if I've missed your comments, but I'm very grateful that you've written about all of these things. I am just navigating my screen, but you can show me some compassion. But thank you so much for this gratitude exercise that you've all done. And I am now reading many other comments that I've missed out. But if any of you have anything to share, please do. Neha ma'am, who has a comment? I think Archana ma'am has raised her hand.
I think that is done just by mistake.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So, teachers, educators, if there are any questions that you have, there are any thoughts, and if you want to share your own self-compassion routine with us, please do. Let us know if you enjoy dancing, or if you enjoy music, you enjoy going for a walk. What is it that you enjoy? Please let us know so that we too can join you in doing that. And mostly, I wish you the very best. And I hope that with the self-compassion routine, and please share the idea of self-compassion with people in your own lives, because people are getting stressed out. We are seeing a lot of depression and dejection among students as well. And you could do a similar gratitude exercise with students in your classroom. If you want me to share a template of this exercise, I'm happy to do that. The more people do this exercise, the better. There is no copyright issue as such. Please take it to your classrooms, connect with your students, make the students feel alive. Tell them about self-compassion so that we don't have students who are committing suicide and feeling depressed and suicidal. We need to teach them how to handle the pressures in the classroom, in the academic and non-academic environment, pressures on the home front. I hope that we can take this message to our students also and our family members in a big way. Please do these exercises with them. You can repeat my presentation, the case studies, with your students. This is all the more circles of self-compassion we create, the better. And the last slide has my email. You can always connect with me over the email. And Neha ma'am, if we could share this last slide, if you want a particular activity that you want to do with your students and your family members, I'll always be happy to help you with it. The more people are mentally at peace and are experiencing a self-compassion. That's why people like us are here. Please do the gratitude exercise with them, share the presentation on self-compassion, talk about self-compassion with your students so that we can create circles of empathy and love and understanding. A lot of young boys and girls are in need of self-compassion and compassion from their teachers. And I hope that you and I, as educators, can play that role in the life of students. We can be compassionate leaders and compassionate teachers who can truly understand our students and the kind of pressures that they are facing today. Okay, let's practice self-compassion and practice it on and take that message to our students and families and friends as well. So Neha ma'am, I'm done at my end. Participants, if you have any feedback to share, I'd be happy to take that feedback from you. Please let me know if you enjoyed the session. What is it that struck you the most? What is it that you're taking away from this session? What is it that you're going to do right after this session? Are you going to have a cup of tea? Are you going to read? Are you going to listen to the music? Are you going to go take a walk? Are you going to have a me time? Are you going to have a gratitude journal in your life on a daily basis? So please let us know what thoughts have been sparked. You can write your comments in the chat box so that we know how you are feeling. So Neha ma'am, I'll stop here. If there are any questions, we can take them. I think there are a few hands that are up.
Yeah. Archana ma'am wants to say something. I think I have unmuted you, so ma'am, can you please ask your question?
Yeah. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I think it was a wonderful session. It gave us time to reflect on what we are, what we are actually missing out on, and we will definitely practice the exercises that you have given to us.
Sure.
Uh, Ma'am, one thing,
Yes.
being a mother of a 5-year-old, I'm always caught up rather in his activities and his thoughts.
Sure.
And I'm finding it difficult to detach myself to for even an hour for my activity. Can you suggest me something?
Sure. I mean, I can imagine, ma'am. I mean, being a mother is a 24/7 hour job,
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're blessed with a son, and that's wonderful. I can imagine that it's hectic for you, and that you have to be around and out and about with your son. But is there anyone else in the family who can, take care of him, say for a good 30 minutes to an hour, so that they consciously know that Archana needs her time in at this point, like maybe 7 to 8 or 9 to 10 in the night, or maybe after he goes to bed, do you get time? So if you can seek help. Self-compassion also includes seeking help. You want to be open to seeking help from people around you. If somebody can take care of him in a particular hour, that can be yours and yours alone. I think that would be very, very helpful. Or if your son enjoys any kind of creative activity, like painting or drawing, or if you could sit him down with something that keeps him occupied. I wouldn't suggest a phone, but anything else. And you two can simultaneously sit for another 20-30 minutes, then maybe that could help. So that's my suggestion. But if there are other participants who have a better suggestion for Archana ma'am, please type that in your comment box, so that ma'am can take away something practical from this suggestion. But ma'am, I'd really encourage you to ask for help if someone can take care of him for some time.
Sit.
Okay. Ma'am, thank you so much for your answer, and I would definitely find help.
Yes.
Rather, isn't it? That was a great suggestion. I would definitely find help so that I can keep him engaged at least for an hour, and
Yes.
that could be a me time.
Yes, that would be wonderful, ma'am. And thank you very much for your gracious words.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Yes, Neha ma'am, is there anyone else? I think Ramya ma'am
Yeah.
and a few others have raised their hands.
Do you have any question, Ms. Ramya?
Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, ma'am. It is very nice and informative session.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I'm an assistant professor and I have 1.5-year-old kid and I have in-laws family.
Yes.
And if I want to write a journal, I have to spend a lot of time on that. So
Yeah.
I'm not getting time to write any journal these days.
Yes.
So I'm feeling like I'm not doing anything. And like I want to do many things like journals and the proposals, many things I want to write, but I'm unable to write
That's right.
things.
So,
Yeah.
Ramya ma'am, thanks for sharing that. I think that what you have said is very similar to what Archana ma'am is also saying. And I think while you are spending a lot of time with, your child as well as the family, sometimes we do crave those pockets of hours where we are being our productive best and our creative best. And maybe a lot of these responsibilities are unable, they prevent us from getting that kind of time. But to you as well, ma'am, I think that one of the best ways to have that kind of time to yourself, one thing that I can maybe suggest is, again, if there's someone in your family who you can convey to that, I need some time off on the work front to be able to get some of my work priorities in place. Could you take care of him for those pockets of time? I think if you seek that help actively, that would be really great if someone in your family can really step up and help fuel your productivity and creativity and me time. If that's not possible, I wonder, I'm sure that you're already you have a hectic routine, but I wonder if waking up early or getting pockets of time before you go to bed is an option. This only you can answer that. Only you know whether before you go to bed and after your child is asleep, do you have that kind of time, or do you have to spend that with family? And maybe waking up in the wee hours of the morning and fueling that kind of creativity and productivity is another option. So and of course, if someone can understand that Ramya needs to work and we need to take care of her child in the process, that would be excellent, ma'am. So if there's anyone else who has other suggestions for Ramya ma'am, I'd really encourage you to give her those suggestions. Ma'am, does that answer you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
I have to find someone to help this thing.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
child is crying.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
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 Take care, ma'am. We hope
Yeah,
that you are
thank you,
able
ma'am.
to find that kind of time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable suggestion, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
We have one more ready from Smita Sharma, I guess. So I'm unmuting you, ma'am.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Ma'am, it was a wonderful session. And again, one suggestion for ma'am, because I could hear her child also crying.
Yes,
So the
please.
best suggestion is that journals will stay for years to come. The childhood of the child will never come back. So you
Yeah.
enjoy your child's childhood right now. Don't worry about the journals and writing and all this stuff.
Okay, so that's wonderful. I hope for Ramya ma'am that answers your question to a great extent. So yes, Smita ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, this was the suggestion, and of course, it was a wonderful, informative session. Some things which we were missing, we have come down, realizing those things which we have left. So, thank you for getting us a relearning of what we had forgotten earlier.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your words. Thank you for being there.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I could see some questions on the chat box. So I would just read it for you. So, ma'am,
Sure.
I observed from the lecture that sometimes I compare myself with others, especially in my work. Passing the work and getting succeeded in life is way too late in the present.
Ma'am, where is this question?
It is in the chat box.
Okay, I'm just trying to find it.
Just a remark, not a question.
If you could, ma'am, just repeat the question
I
for
would
me.
just be posted.
Yeah. There are three different screens that I'm navigating. One is the chat with the panelists. One is with the attendees. So you can let me know where it is.
Can you now see the chat?
1 second. Chat with everyone or chat with the attendees?
Okay. I'm just reposting it.
Okay, sorry, I have not been able to see it.
This is not a question specifically. It's just a remark, I think.
All right. Could you repeat that? I think if you say it again, I will catch it.
So I observe, this is Sandhya Devi. So I observe from the lecture that sometimes I compare myself with others, especially in my work. Passing the buck and getting succeeded in life is the way to live the present.
Okay, so I think the bit that I'm catching is about comparison. And sir, I'd really encourage you to, as far as comparison is concerned, sometimes we can't avoid it. Other people compare us to others. Sometimes we compare ourselves to others. Sometimes our workplaces have the kind of culture where comparison fuels competition. Sometimes social media pushes us to be comparing ourselves to others. But I think that the single most insulation that you have against something like this is that you yourself have to focus on your own uniqueness. You yourself have to focus on what makes you special and what you do as the heart of who you are. And I think comparisons have to be avoided. I don't think comparisons lead to anything healthy, sir. So as long as you yourself can avoid that comparison, even if you are pushed to it by external circumstances, I think that's the single best solution I can offer you. We have to be confident in who we are, our own skills, our own skill sets, our uniqueness. And there's no other person like you, sir. There is absolutely no other person like you. There's only single one, that you, who exists and who can do what he does. And no one else can do what you can do. The life and the breath that comes out of you is unique, and there is no comparison. So as long as you don't compare yourselves to others, and when you stop comparing yourself to others, I don't think others will have the courage or gumption to do that. So I hope that you stop comparing your own self, and and others will stop doing that as well. So I hope that I've answered your question, sir.
So we'll take up the last query for today.
Yeah.
That is, kindly suggest some ways to reaffirm our self-worth.
Kindly suggest some ways to reaffirm our self-worth. All right. I find sitting in silence, breathing, and counting my blessings as very effective, because a lot of the gratitude exercise that you witnessed, uh, people are writing about how they are grateful about, God has made them enthusiastic, patient, responsible, kind to others, compassionate. They have a wonderful set of family, work. And as long as you are connected to yourself and how absolutely unique and special you are as a person, uniquely made by the divine powers that you believe in, that's where your worth comes from. Our worth does not come from others. Our worth does not come from people around us or what they say about us. Our worth comes from a divine source that is higher than any human around us. So if we have to affirm our worth, we have to know deep inside us that, I am made very uniquely, and I thank God for giving this life to me. So I think you have to affirm your worth to yourself.
Open with
that your
Ariana.
worth comes from a source high above. Nobody can take our worth away from us. Nobody can take our respect from us unless we decide to give it away. Okay, so you can sit in silence. You can write a gratitude journal. You can write about all the things that God has gifted you with. I'm sure you are an excellent professional, excellent family
No,
member,
but my
loving
Ariana
friend.
files also open up in my. I don't know why it says.
Someone needs to mute themselves. Ma'am, can you? Someone has.
Yeah, I have this app
I'm
with
just
me.
trying to figure
It's
out.
not opening with that
Smita
one.
Sharma, I think he's there.
Acha, my 40-day trial period has expired.
Okay, so someone has to mute themselves because we're getting a lot of disturbance. But I hope that I've answered the question about self-worth. We are all made very uniquely with worth that comes from a higher source. Sit with yourselves, look at yourself. God has made you beautifully, and I hope that you can reaffirm your worth to your own self. You don't need anybody else's validation. And you can write in a gratitude journal all the things that God has gifted you with. You maybe if you are a spouse, you're a daughter, you're a son, you're a friend, you're a teacher, you are someone who knows a subject so well. There is no reason why your worth, you shouldn't affirm your own worth to yourself. Okay, so show some compassion, celebrate yourself for all that you've done, for how far you've come, and I'm sure that that will be helpful. So I hope that I've answered your question.
I think we have taken off all the queries. Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering all those queries so patiently. I think the answers, yeah. So with this, I would like to thank you for joining in. This was indeed an informative session and very engaging one as well. I think everyone was participating in it. And the examples that you took, I think they were really relatable at these COVID times. That is why they were able to connect, I think. So thank you so much once again, from all of us. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, ma'am. I just wanted to ask you if my email could be available. If you could type it in the chat box where all the participants can access it, maybe. It's Agrima Bhasin 1267 at gmail.com. AGRIMABHASIN 1267 at gmail.com. Agrima Bhasin 1267 at gmail.com. It's in the last slide of my presentation, the very last slide. Yeah, that one. Thank you so much. So if there's anyone who wants to connect, who wants me to share a template of the gratitude exercise or any other questions that you have, please feel free to get in touch. And I thank you all so much for your generous participation, your gracious words. And someone is I think asking me what I mean by the divine powers. I think Indra, sir, or ma'am, I do, forgive me. You are asking me what divine powers mean according to me. I mean, of course, many of us believe in God, so it could mean God to you. Others have a sense of, deep spirituality, and they consider, a divine connection with the supernatural forces that they believe in. And I think that divine powers is really, a reality or a supernatural reality much greater than us, always helps us. In my view, it would be the God who created each of us and this beautiful world. So that is divine for me. It could be different for you, and I hope that I've answered your question. So thanks very much to all of you, and I hope that we get a chance to meet someday in person and do a session with each other. So thank you very much to IGDTUW as well as AICTE Atal Faculty Development Program, and thanks for having me on board.
Thank you so much once again, ma'am. So for all the participants, I again want to announce that we have 5 sessions tomorrow. rather than 4. So first session will be on Sehat Yoga as scheduled already. And the second session will be on quality of life through fitness and wellness by Dr. Subir Devnath. Post lunch, we have 3 sessions. First is on organizing self by Dr. Abhay K. Wampre. And the next session will be on taking ownership by Dr. Aradhana Sharma. And the last session will be on Ikigai by Dr. Munshi Yadav, which will be from 5 to 6:30. This is the same session which got postponed yesterday. So please be there, and we'll resume tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you, everyone.